So let me see if I got this right. Over the weekend, there was a film award show dedicated to honoring writers, actors, directors, and all the hard work that they put into making entertainment on the big or the small screen throughout the qualifying year. And in the crowd, there is a man, and his name is John Davidson White. And he is there as an activist and campaigner and someone who suffers from Tourette's, honoring and showing support to a movie called I Swear, which is a movie that has to deal with someone who's dealing with Tourette's. And maybe in my mind, I'm thinking of it as a positive reinforcement to show support to a movie and maybe getting people to watch the movie so that they could understand people who live with Tourette's, because that South Park episode did a lot of damage to the reputation with Tourette's. Keep that in mind. And as the award show is going on, you have two black actors, Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan, on the stage, presumably announcing nominees or even giving a speech. And as they're on the stage for everyone to see and for everyone to hear, John Davidson yells out the N-word and the word bitch. And you can imagine that the circumstances surrounding two black people on a television screen and somebody, and we find out later it's a white person, yelling out a slur will garner the typical reaction that you can always expect.
Delroy and I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making.
We're here to celebrate.
Some of you are getting on my last God-given nerves. The fact that I have to come up here to break down for you the ABCs 1, 2, 3 do-re-mis of racism, because some of you have the bombastic audacity to want to litigate the racial intent of a white man and absolve him of racism because of his disability. Now, I'm going to make time for you today. Let me say this in plain English because I'm not speaking Latin or Swahili. John Davidson is a racist white man with Tourette syndrome. And let me break this down for you. Tourette syndrome is a disability. Disability is not racism, and it does not make you racist. The Tourette syndrome simply brings out what is already in the heart, mind, and soul of the person speaking. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. The word nigger is not a Tourette syndrome condition. It is a racist condition. That word is in John Davidson's bank of vocabulary, and all the Tourettes did was bring it out. Oh, I know what it's like to have intrusive thoughts. But the moment those intrusive thoughts become actions or words, the impact is real. For those of you woeful and willful ignoramus out there, racism does not require intent to be racist. It doesn't matter. If you meant to be racist, you did it with depraved indifference, or it happened because you have a disability. The racial impact on black people as they watched Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo be racially abused on the global stage was instant, because we all knew exactly what they were thinking, what they were feeling, why they switched on and kept on moving. We knew what it was. We were in that moment with them. That impact is freaking racism. You want to undermine the racist attack against Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo to make John Davidson the victim because he's a white man with a disability. But you are the same obtuse hypocrites that condemned Kanye West as an anti-Semite, demanded action be taken against him without any consideration of his bipolar disorder and the impact his bipolar disorder would have had on his words and his actions, because he's a black man with a disability. We see you. Even the BBC was overtly racist. They made a conscious decision to edit out Free Palestine, which is not anti-Semitic, from Akintola Davis Jr.'s acceptance speech. But they lack the moral backbone and racial consciousness to edit out nigger to protect black people. And we know why. It's because the feelings of white Zionist Jews trumps the racism experienced by black people. So no, my thoughts are not with John Davidson. My thoughts are with Michael B. Jordan, Delroy Lindo, and every black person. Because we are constantly erased to center the comfort, fragility, and inferiority complex of white people. I said what I said.
Somebody said Tourette's. I said send them to the hood. So I was watching the BAFTAs, right? And then this activist with Tourette's started yelling the N-word with the hard ER. Now, I know. Tourette's is involuntary. It's not like it's just this thing that people can just switch off whenever they want to. But let me tell y'all something. You drop that word in the hood just one good time, you're going to discover muscles of self-control that you didn't even know you had. See, the hood is not WebMD. The hood has immediate, what I call hands-on corrective therapy. You might tick once, maybe twice, but by day 3, you blinking in Morse code instead. See, there's one thing about the hood. It does not tolerate recreational racism. There will be a course correction, and it'll come swiftly. I'm just saying, How fast y'all think the hood would have cleared this up?
And afterwards, it's been a few hours since this happened. He's apologized. Everybody's giving out PR statements. Everybody's saying they're disgusted by it. You even have people who have Tourette's trying to explain how this could happen and what it is about Tourette's. They're being labeled as anti-black because they're not sitting there admonishing a guy who suffers from the same thing that they're suffering from, because if you don't stick to the code, you're somehow anti-black in some way, shape, or form.
Ignore how I look right now. Critical attention. I am not feeling too great. However, there is something I have been asked to talk about, and that is going to be the BAFTA situation. I have been seeing a bunch of outrage about it, people saying, oh, well, why would that even be in his vocabulary? He did that on purpose and all of this stuff, and that racism is to excuse. Very bitch sad day for the Tourette syndrome community, especially for the ones that have coprolalia, because when you come online and you see thousands of people hating on your condition, specifically coprolalia, because that's something that is already very embarrassing for all of us. I'm not going to say that people can't be offended by the fact that somebody said the N-word as a tic. However, it's not something that somebody can control. It's not something that somebody wants to say. And I've been seeing a lot of people be like, well, he said it like when the crowd went silent. That is most likely when a tic is going to happen, when you're in public, when you're in complete silence, or when you're trying not to say or do something. So we must understand what coprolalia is. Coprolalia causes involuntary swearing and inappropriate tics. This can include the N-word, slurs, etc. I am a black person, and even I have the N-word tic and slurs as tics. This is something I don't see many talk about because of situations like this. Is it a disappointing thing? Shut up! That it happened in public in front of that entire crowd, specifically to Michael B. Jordan and the other presenter. I'm so sorry, I do not know his name. I wish I did, but no disrespect to him. I just am not too aware. Yes, it is a very unfortunate situation. Seeing so many people say that they would invoke violence against people with coprolalia if they can't control their tics. That's ableism. The fucked up thing that this happens, yes, but it's something that we can't control. Aggression in the brain being triggered. Shut up. And ultimately causing inappropriate tics. Michael B. Jordan and the other presenter have the right to be upset, especially if they were not aware. However, we need to understand and educate ourselves. And on my videos, I constantly see people saying, oh my god, it's so funny, if I had cursing tics, I would be laughing all the time. But when people actually have cursing tics, then it's offensive and they're a bad person and this and that, the third. We need to do better. We need to educate ourselves better. This is not me saying that people don't have the right to be offended. However, you can't be offended when a disabled person is disabled. I might make a part 2 to this. This is part 2 to my last post about the entire BAFTA situation. I am seeing a ton of people saying, oh my god, during Black History Month? Tourette syndrome is not based on a month. Offensive tics are gonna happen no matter what shut up a person does. I'm black, oh my goodness, and I also have the N-word as a tic. I have other slurs as tics. Does this mean that I use them regularly? Does this mean that I mean them? Does this mean that I can control what I say? No, it does not. That's not how coprolalia works. That is not how Tourette syndrome works. Quite literally the Sweet Anita situation all over again. Shut up. Where she ended up saying the N-word on stream. She got canceled for it, got called racist, etc. We need to do better. I've seen so many people say that we can control our tics. That's not, if you can control a tic, it's not a tic. Let me explain what a tic is in detail. Oh, shut up, bitch. A tic is when your neurons misfire. You think that you can seriously fucking control a neuron misfiring. I've never seen a human possibly do that. We have got to stop thinking with our feelings and start thinking with logic. It is okay to be offended. Shut up. But what it is not okay to do is be ableist and try to make it seem like people with Tourette's, specifically those with coprolalia, say their tics on purpose. My whole think piece on this, if you are offended, I do deeply apologize, but I'm just being logical here. I see a lot of people giving their think pieces, and they are specifically talking about racism when tics don't correlate with racism. But that's not what causes offensive or obscene tics. What causes those kinds of tics are coprolalia. Coprolalia, shut up, is completely involuntary and does not involve your vocabulary.
And I feel as though this has done a complete disservice to people who suffer from Tourette's. Now, let me just make something abundantly clear. In the moment, you can be shocked and a little bit angry about it. And you could keep that anger because you know what? You're hearing a slur directed at two people on the stage who may have the same skin complexion as you, or maybe even don't, and you're a little bit disgusted by it. The initial reaction is perfectly fine and justified in being angry about it. But when you find out that this is somebody with Tourette's and you have like that core loose understanding, that anger could simmer just a little bit. Not saying it'll completely wash away, but there will be a layer of understanding that'll get you to say, okay, it sucks that I had to hear this, but there's a layer of understanding that could make me be a little bit less angry. Or you could be ignorant enough to try to compare a completely different situation to somebody dealing with Tourette's in thinking that that somehow makes you the winner in the conversation, and it doesn't. It makes you ignorant and also stupid to the subject matter that you truly do not pay attention to, which makes me laugh deep inside.
Mind you, my take was literally that if you think he's racist and don't understand why people are defending him, to the point you're attacking the people defending him and calling the black people defending him, you do not understand Tourette's. No one sane is blaming people for being offended. No one's doing that. They're saying that you cannot jump to the conclusion that this man is racist. He is disabled. Many, many, many people are genuinely questioning how he even acquired the N-word. Why does a grown man know the N-word? And you want me to sit and go back and forth? I can't. At least not for long. But reminder, I don't delete my videos. I just stop you having access to them. People see a video's taken down and then they immediately, I don't know if it's like, I don't know what it is, but people immediately start rewriting history. Like, I cannot reference the video at any point. If you think he is racist and are attacking people defending him, you do not understand Tourette's. That was actually the thumbnail of the video. This group of people who I can't name don't understand Tourette's. Not people can't be offended that the N-word was used. You see, I have a problem with this. I have a problem with people demanding John Davidson apologise, otherwise he did it on purpose. He didn't do it on purpose. Full stop. If he chooses to apologise, I don't see why he can't have a quiet word with them in person. People want him to just go out on the main stage and it just sounds like a humiliation ritual. I'm sorry, and I know that's so controversial, but I can't think differently. It's not his fault. He's disabled. If you're incontinent and you have to go out in public because you're a human being, are you supposed to get up on a stage and apologise every time you wet yourself? Obviously, the gravity is huge and the offence is huge. And yes, you apologise for things that aren't your fault. But the idea of expecting a disabled man to just get up in front of everyone and say, I'm so sorry. How many times do you think he's had to do that in his life? I think BAFTA should apologise. I think the BBC should apologise. I think John, Michael, Delroy, John's family or activists or something can get in a room and just explain, even though it was said before at the start of the ceremony, just explain again how it was completely not intentional. I think that can happen.
I think the worst part about all of this is how we wouldn't have known if the editors did their job and did their best to lower the volume on the crowd so that nobody would have picked up on this, because apparently this award show was not live. There was like either an hour or 2 hour delay, so they had time to go in and do their best to make sure nobody could hear this. And you can't say they don't have the ability to, because apparently the guy, John Davidson, not only was yelling shut the fuck up to other people, but apparently an entire speech about Palestine is gone for not a lot of people to know about. So the ability to edit out something is there. They just didn't do it. And now it's put an entire situation about Tourette's and understanding Tourette's in the crosshairs of people ready to call anything racist in a moment's notice, and anyone who possibly defends it or sticks up for it or explains it as anti-black. So congratulations to the editors of this fucking broadcast. You fucked up the most out of anybody involved. That South Park episode did a little damage at the time, because you had people thinking that people with Tourette's were just making it up and making it seem like they could just say whatever they want, and as long as they hide behind Tourette's, hey, they are perfectly capable of being excused for what it is that they're saying. Now, in 2026, we got the racial aspect being brought in, because on top of there being people not informed about the subject matter, thinking that there are people out there just saying things and thinking that they can get away with it, now you have the racial aspect involved, where people are now now going to start trying to indicate what's a disability versus what's somebody just saying something in order to make their own selves feel good while trying to make other people feel less than. And it's just going to be a complete embarrassment around the subject matter, because in my head, the way I'm looking at this before all of this kicks off is, okay, there's a way for people to learn more about something if they choose to, and it's via this movie. It's a baseline understanding because it's in the realm of entertainment, but if it piques your interest enough, you can learn about it more and have a better understanding about people who suffer from something. But instead of that, anti-black, racial slurs, we're all dumber as a society, and that just continues to make the world go round. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think this is a complete embarrassment of people who have to deal with Tourette's? Do you think it's anti-black if you somehow try to explain what people with Tourette's have to go through? Do you not care about this whatsoever? Did you not even know that an award show was taking place because you were sitting nice and tight in your bed enjoying slumber and being woken up to so many people being called anti-black because of this? Because that was my experience. And I will see you all in the next one. Mwah! Goodbye.